right. So we are started here, guys, on the stream. So let's get going. What I wanted to do first is I'm kind of delaying a little bit too because I want to see what the news was on that. It looks like we're getting an initial pressure up on the SPY, but interesting thing is crypto's not reciprocating. Okay, here we go. Nice little push up. And remember, guys, keep in mind that when news events, that first direction is not always the correct one. But first, let's open up the SPY. I want to talk about what we did yesterday. For those of you guys new to the TikTok or YouTube, in this community, most of our crypto trading is automated, and we trade a lot of options. So, apologize for clearing my throat today. So you can see we're getting a nice little push up on the SPY. That's why I'm kind of delaying. We want to see how that news is impacting it, right? We'll see if this holds right on the pre. You could see a situation where we get a nice little push up on the pre, right, and then when market opens, right, we reverse that. But keep in mind, we'll look at the news here in a second, but the first move is not usually the right one. But let's talk about the plays we did yesterday. So let's kind of open up that. So the market opened yesterday right around let's see, Wednesday, where are we at here? So it was up here in this area here, right? Yeah, around 428 or so. Some of us were already in puts from the day before, which is totally fine. And so what we did is we actually waited and we called this top. Once we got this double top here off of our zone tracker that called this resistance line right from the previous high, a lot of us doubled up our contracts and rode this sucker down and were able to get out of our trades and actually make a lot of profit. So that's kind of how we got out there. The puts that we took the day before were in this range, which is interesting because we were in a long, but we were kind of playing the resistance here, which it did end up breaking. Our part of our plan was it's okay if it did break and open up higher. We were gonna double up our contracts here and ride that sucker back down, which is what we did. We were kind of following this channel here. You can kind of see what I kind of marked out here. So a couple little scalps in here I took. I believe I took this one on a put because of the fact that we were in a short call. So the moment we got this short call, I think the first one I took was this one because of the short call here. And then once we got this kind of double bottom, this bounce, and then rejection off of this line, right, we took one more in here. And then that was kind of all I did from trading yesterday. And then we're just kind of sitting tight, through here. We did get a short call right at the end of market close. So we'll see how that plays out with the news on market open. Keep in mind, even the best of TA, even the best of indicators, right, can be wrong if the news doesn't support it. So, you can see even with whatever that news was, it's still struggling to break this upper range here on 427. Let's go to the hour chart and let's talk a little bit about this. So what I wanted to actually show you guys, not only in the hour, but let's go to the 2 hours, a little more clear. So we do have a nice kind of M formation, like a double top. And the reason why it's so struggling so hard to break at 426 is that's going to be the neckline, right? So if we break this neckline here, not only is it a neckline, but we're breaking the 21 SMA. So that is going to leave this whole thing open for a fall, right? So the bears are trying to push it as hard as they can, but the bulls are they're not having it because they know if they break that, then they're in trouble, right? And so one of the scenarios we talked about yesterday was that we could see another push north in the early morning part of this, bringing it up to about 428, 429, and then if we get up in this range, if you're not in a trade, I don't suggest you play that call because this could easily reverse, especially with news. I would suggest, just sit tight. If you get anywhere in this range, 429, 430, man, if you're playing options, that's a great time to take a put because two things could happen. Either A, we're going to just oscillate back down here, find support, and we're just ranging, or B, by the time we get down back to this range, we would have broken this SMA. And if we break that SMA, now we've created a triple top, which is just going to absolutely just reclaim this entire side here, right? So it'll be such a profitable put. So that's kind of the range that I would play. Keep in mind the 2 hour, we were super overbought. We're starting to trend down, and we did just flip red at the end of market last time. again, we have news, right? So if the news is bullish, it could push that north out of that. But typically, when those flip red, they're pretty accurate that we're about to see a pullback. On the 4 hour, we did not get that yet, but we do have a gap fill, which is saying we should go down to about 422.93. So, you know, for me, I'm going to probably watch it. And if we get a little bit of a push north, you know, I'm going to go ahead and take that put. I may even take a put at market open. I'm going to assess that with the crew once we get on there, just to kind of make that determination. Because if I take that put, right, we might be able to catch that double top. And if it does pump up on me again, I'll just do the same thing. You know, we'll double those contracts. So that's kind of how we're going to play the SPY today. In our room, we trade mostly the SPY, but I don't mind trading some other things if the setup is there. But you can see the initial push after the news is bullish. So my suspicion is we probably came out bullish, but maybe not that bullish. So let's go to the economic events and see if this updated. And this is all right from the website, guys. Where are we at? Thursday. Oh, wow. Yeah, look at this. So 233... we projected 235. It was 261. Okay, that's gonna be, yeah. We're likely gonna push up and see that triple top. So with that number that came out, so just play your range, guys, on that. You can see crypto starting to push north again as well with that. So it definitely is gonna be an interesting market open, that's for sure. So let's jump into the Dixie here. The Dixie looks like it took a dive after that news. Let's go to the 1 hour and see where we're at with that. So we are creating lower highs. This was the trend line that we talked about. I think this was last week. Yeah. And then we had the drop. We pumped back up, and we've just been kind of ranging since. For the Dixie, guys, if we hold above this yellow line or this green area that's called by our indicator here, since here, then we're likely to come up and retest this line, which is going to pull that market more to the downside. However, with this news being in the way it was, right, if we see a further drop on the Dixie and we can actually create a lower low here, then we're going to see a pretty interesting pump in both crypto and in the stocks. So keep an eye on that on the Dixie. On the VIX, I won't touch on it too long. All I'm going to tell you guys on the VIX is the opposite here is it is actually starting to round. You can see even in the news here, right, it was starting to pump up. It dropped back, but not too much. We still have this kind of rounding formation. This is similar to the Dixie now, this back in the day, but this is on the 2 minutes. So let's go to the 1 hour and just see what the 1 hour is doing. So if we look at the 1 hour, we almost actually have a potential inverse head and shoulder. So I would look for this to potentially drop down over the next couple hours and then come back like this. And if it breaks that neckline, then we'll see that push north. And that could be what I was talking about, right? So Thursdays, a lot of times what they like to do with news is they're going to open bullish and we'll pump. And then right around noon or 1 or 2, they just absolutely dump it on everybody, right? And this would kind of fall in line with that, because keep in mind the VIX is inverse. So if the VIX goes up, markets go down, and vice versa. So, but you can see that bullish is already kicking in on crypto on that. Tech stocks, I'm not going to spend too much time on, guys. I do the TA on this tech stocks, but I'll do it in the room. So if you come in with us and trade, then I'm happy to do it for you. But Apple is slightly up. You got Microsoft slightly down after a pretty big fall yesterday. You can see Amazon actually fell off my chart, but it actually is it's up a little bit on the pre-market. But you have Google that's slightly down on the pre-market, right? So everybody's kind of all over the place from the tech stocks. Talking about Bitcoin, you can see it did have a long call here that did play out, and then now it's just kind of hanging out. So let's open this up and let's see where we go from here. So I'm going to mute the harmonic one for a minute. So as y'all know, this is the range that I've been playing. We called that bounce at the 25.2 area, which it did. And so now we're kind of pumped up and we've just been kind of ranging. We talked about this also, that in the fall we would have a pump up and we'd have a pullback. And then those of you guys who trade with me daily, or you've been through the academy, you know, the market makers, what they love to do is they drop it, they lock a bunch of people here, they pump it, they lock some people here, and then they sit right in the middle and they just do this, right? And so We need to break above this area here. I would probably pull this line down slightly because there's a lot of lower wicks. So let's pull it to right about here. So we need to basically break and reclaim and hold this line, which is 26,549. If we do, then we're likely to head back up to around 27.8 for this retest over time. However, if we cannot reclaim this and the SPY begins to pull back because the Dixie is finding support, then we're going to come down to retest this area. I would probably suspect our first retest would be somewhere in this area, 26.1. And then after that, we may hit some of these lower lows where they found support around 26.8. So we could probably even just throw a line here. We'll keep an eye on that level too. So now, if we do see that pullback right here and we do start to gain some support here around 25.8, this could be creation of that higher low, which would cause us to absolutely pump up north. So if you're running the ATA, which we'll get into here shortly, my advice to you is if we do come down into this 25.8 range, you may want to scale back the shorts. I'm not going to say I'm going to stop all my shorts, but I'm going to probably only run maybe one or two on that. So I'm still okay with running it now because if we do pump up, I have room to add those DCAs. But if we do drop any lower, somewhere in this range, then I'm going to probably not run those. So let's take a look at the gap fill. Oh, my dogs are barking. Close that door. Excuse me a second. I usually kick them out before I start, but they were being good, but apparently somebody decided to walk by. Okay, so let's go on the 1 hour here, and what I'm looking for here is we have this indicator called the gap fill sniper. We're just looking for any kind of gaps. There's a little one here in 23. You all know that I've drawn my upper and my lower trend range here. So this lower one is kind of derived from this right here, which called this hit perfectly. I still think we need to hit it. I just don't know that we need to hit it right away, right? So this could, we could take this and drag this up like this. And so depending when we hit it, we could range like this, and then come down and smack it, right? Which would be 24K versus if we went straight down right now, it'd be 23. That's very possible or even more so likely, right? Keep in mind on the 1 hour, we are below the 200. So when you look at the 200 EMA right here, right, we are hanging below that. So 26,713 or so is going to be an area to watch because if we do bump our head there and we start to pull back down, that's because of that 200 EMA is holding strong. So kind of some levels to watch. I would say, again, if we pull all the way back down to this, unless we have some kind of news or something with momentum to push it through this is going to be a very hard one to break. My suspicion is we're probably going to have a nice little pullback retest or a slight push up and then a pullback retest. And I think we're just going to range here for a little bit because people need to believe that we're having support up here. We have a lot of news and the stuff with the SEC going after people, so we just want to be really careful. Because as that news continues on, right, it could rock the markets. So that's kind of where I see Bitcoin going, guys. If you wanted to pause it or go back, you guys can follow my lines. Ethereum, let's just touch on the gap fill one. Kind of did the same thing. We dropped, we pumped, we dropped. This one actually dropped a little bit lower, and then now we're just kind of hanging out in the middle. We do have this trend line. It was kind of a goofy trend line because it went through some stuff here, but there was a lot of support that it found, a lot of resistance that it found, and it did call the support here. So it's been still pretty reliable. So that's why I've held it there. When you look at the zone tracker on the 1 hour, you can see this is our resistance, this is our support, and we're kind of in the middle. So if you're just starting up an ATA, you guys can probably run them both long and short and be okay. I'm still running long and short on mine, so we'll get into how they're doing. But as long as we stay above this trend line like this and we hold some support, we should see another probably decent pushback up to about 1870, 1880 before possibly finding some resistance. If we break through these levels, another retest up here would probably be likely. Something you can do, guys, if you want to watch like kind of a minor ceiling, you just take it like this because you only need the 2 points, and this one actually has 3. You have 1, 2, 3, actually 4. And so, if we do get a push north, this would be where I would expect it to have a little bit of trouble. At least have some kind of pullback, whether it can hold higher, low, and push up or not. So, but I'll have some kind of pullback. So, ETH, like I said, if you're trading it, I would suspect a low of, somewhere in here, 1800 range, 1810. And then the high would be somewhere around 1900. So you can see we're just smack dab in the middle. So, that's where we're at with ETH. So let's jump into the ATA section, guys. If you click the little clock here, if you're following along, you can see these are my alerts that I'm running for my ATA. So I have a Aave long, ETH short, LTC long, LTC short, Matic long, Solana long, and Solana short. So quite a bit to cover. Let's open up the Aave one. We did have a couple stuck, so let's see how they did yesterday. Probably still stuck because I don't think we had a lot of movement, but let's see. Yeah, so Aave is still just doing its thing. Our entries here, you can see 63. We're sitting at about 60. That's why we have not touched anything else. I believe we already second DCA'd. Yeah, so we don't want to touch anything else. We are getting a nice little rounded bottom on Aave like this. It's retesting this previous area here. So if the news or Bitcoin is able to push north, we should see a pretty nice push north, and that will get us out of there. So not too worried on that. We're not running short on Aave, so I don't need to look at the short. If you're wanting to start along on Aave right now because you're not running it, it's just literally you can't get a better time to do it. So I would highly recommend to do that. So if you're following along, just kind of double check, make sure you match the settings that I have here. If that's what you have, you can pause to read. All right, let's go into ETH. I know ETH got out of some stuff yesterday, so let's see how that sucker's doing. All right, we got a short. So we did get stuck in this short yesterday, if y'all remember. I was going to place a DCA, but we were like here. It was like here when we were going to do it, so it was a good call not to do it. Look at this. We actually hit our entry line and then pump back up. So love when it does that as a trader or as automation, right? But the beauty is that with automation, I don't have to touch this. So I'm still not going to do anything with ETH, guys. Well, let's take a look. So this is 1897. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's place a short. Or I'm sorry, not a short. A second DCA. We didn't DCA 2 times, did we? Oh, you know what? This was from before. See, we didn't actually modify that. So it has it at 8.5. Let's see where that line is. Okay, so it actually already had it up here. I don't think we needed that much. That was probably, we probably missed that one because normally after we get out of one, as you guys know, we reset that. So this line is what I'm pulling down. What I'm doing is I'm just changing the percent here. The percent is what determines where it's going to DCA. That's about 1910. I want it just below that. So let's try like 5.75. I want it just above here, but just below that 1910 because remember that was our TA. So this one's 1904, 1905. I'm good with that. So you can pause to read if you want the settings if you're following. So those new to our ATAs, what that means is we're either going to come out and we're going to get out in profit, or it's going to pump up. Anything past this line, I have cleared my ATA to take another DCA, and that will move our entry up because the nice thing is that will put our entry up somewhere around here, which is 1860. Which is a very big area for retest and pullback, so I'm okay with that. Plus, we have a third DCA that we can add in there too. So anytime you make a change, guys, just like you guys know, delete this. We're going to come in here. We're going to add an alert. ATA Gambit ETH long. I'm just naming it. That's all I'm doing on that. The reason why you're going to name it ATA at first, or at least what I do is ATA at first, is because I have a lot of alerts that I do, and so I like to have it up top, so that way I know exactly what they are, right? So doing the A makes it easier to put it up top. So that's our shorts. Let's take a look at the longs. Longs look like it's doing really well. Remember, we did a reset yesterday, so it did take all this. It did get out on all that, and it took a bunch of longs within here. We reset our statistics yesterday. Since yesterday, it looks like it took one buy, did a perfect DCA, it got out, took another buy, got out, took another one. So it's doing really well. We're actually not in a trade right now on the long, so let's check the settings this time, make sure we don't have anything extra. We don't. Parabolic SARs, if you're wanting to run one and you have not started it up yet, you can do ETH and follow me here. This is just the strategy that I do, parabolic SARS, touch. Most of this is default. I just don't do the second and third DCA is all. I don't have a stop loss in here because on BitGet, the beauty is it lets you trade long and short, so I don't need to add that in there. I'll just let it basically, it's like having two traders, you know, trading against each other. One's always looking long, one's always looking short. So we were able to earn both ways, and that's why they do really well. So we are good with ETH. You know what I just noticed is I just named that one long, didn't I? See, I'm going to tell you guys, and I keep emphasizing on this because even when I'm teaching this, right, my mind's going a million miles an hour and mistakes can happen. And this is why I use this, because anything that is in here is what is going to be the alert. So because I know I did this one as long, I can you don't have to delete the indicator just because you named it wrong, right? So if I highlight over this ETH one right here, it tells me this is a short ETH BitGet futures. If I highlight over this one, it says long ETH BitGet futures on the top. So I know this bottom one is the one that's wrong, right? The alert is right, see, short. I just named it wrong. So all you have to do is edit it. You come in here, add it back to short, and then hit save. And see, it updates that. So you don't have to freak out. Some people delete the alert and they panic, right? It's just, the name is just the name. As long as when you highlight over it, it says on the top ETH short on there, then that's all that matters on there. So you're good. So let's jump into LTC. Let's see where we're at. LTC was really close to what ETH was doing, so I'm curious if it got out of anything. It actually did not get out of that short either. Just hanging around the entry. Our entry is right there, so close. It does look like we have a second DCA in there as well. Let's pull this one down as well. Let's pull it to like, because remember ETH or LTC can get up as high as like $1, right? $1.10. So I don't know that I want to be real aggressive because LTC loves to pop. So I think I'm gonna leave it, guys. So if you're following me, I'm just doing 10% on that, and that puts it pretty high. So the likelihood of it hitting that's gonna be pretty far. But what I like about that is if we do hit it, it's gonna move our entry to about $91, $92 or so, and we're really close to our entry, so we may not even need it. So I don't want to push that. Longs are doing really well. We did reset it yesterday. It made about $37 yesterday. We did get a buy, a DCA got out. We've had a couple other longs. We did have a long DCA got out. Look at how good these DCAs are, guys, like literally at the peak here as it gets out. So LTC long's doing really well. If you are not in an LTC long, you can add it. These are the settings I have: long, LTC, parabolic, touch. These are all default, and then just uncheck your 2 and 3 DCAs. And then just make sure you do this part here where you close out your candle. So that is it for that. So we're not going to make any changes on LTC still. Again, we're still middle of the range. So although I'm running a lot more pairs than y'all know I normally do, we're in the middle of the range. So I'm kind of okay with it. You're going to see me probably tomorrow begin to scale back a little bit because I'm going to start preparing for the copy trade, which we're hoping to release as soon as next week. So I want to scale out of some of these trades so that way we can do the copy trade. So let's go to the 1 minute here. Just reset chart if it gets out of whack. So Matic has just been struggling. You know, Matic got hit with part of being named on that whole SEC stuff. So it took a little bit of a beating, right? But, you know, Matic always bounces back strong, so I'm not going to touch it. I mean, our entry is a little ways away. Do not DCA 3, guys, because we are DCA 2 in, and we want to save that third one because Matic, keep in mind, with it being in the news like it did, although it's an amazing project, we could drop as low as 69, right? I mean, that was, you know, some lows from back over here, right? So that would be when I would be probably considering adding that next DCA in there. And I'll tell you, if we get that low, if we do add a DCA somewhere in this range and we do get that low, I mean, man, it is going to be a profitable trade when that sucker gets out. So, but just sit tight on Matic. let me think here, guys, because I remember I do want to start kind of scaling out. So let's do this with Matic. Let's do an existing trade. For all of you that know how I do that, I'm just basically telling it once it gets out of this trade, I don't want it to trade anymore. So that way I don't really have to watch it. So follow with me here if you're doing it. All you have to do is find where the original buy was. You're going to take one candle before it, right? So as you zoom in, you're taking one candle before the buy. Always remember, you're not taking the buy, you're taking one candle before. So that time is Sunday, June 4th at 16:18. So why that's important is we want to make sure that this date right here matches. So we're going to say one candle before. So June 4th at 16:18. So June 4th, and then we're going to put in 16:18. And we're going to do enable existing instead of close. Now you did it right if that blue just turns to a teal. There you go. So what that did is you told it to close and to enter a buy right here with the same settings. I didn't change anything else, guys. Remember, I didn't change nothing else. So the DCAs will still remain the same. See, you still have DCA 1, right? And when you come across the... Let me shrink this down. There's our DCA 2. So we didn't change anything else. Everything else stays the same. All you're doing is just flipping that entry, right? So now when I delete this alert here, and I click on this here, and I add this sucker here, ATA, Gambit, Matic, Long, and then I'm gonna title it as existing or exist. I title it exist because I know that I don't have to really watch that. When it's done, it's done. I'll just leave that one, right? That's a setting that we put in there purposefully because if you choose the existing option right here, if you click the eye, it tells you a little bit about it right there. But what that's going to do is it's the same exact trade. It's going to get out of the same exact spot. The difference is once it gets out, it will not trade anymore. So I don't have to worry about it getting stuck again, right? I'm slowly going to scale my way out of that one. So let's go ahead and if you're following along, please pause to read that or go back and watch that. That's why we record them. I know I'm moving a little quick here. We got running out of time, but we do got to do Solana, so we might be a few minutes over. So let's check our Solana short. So Solana short's actually been killing it. You can see here 3 days made $20, guys. For those who are wondering, when I'm showing these like $20, $40, $100 profits, it's on a $5,000 account. So it's not like it's a $50,000 account, right? That's unheard of. Look at Solana, man. You guys know I love running the Solana shorts because it just does so well. I do want to scale my way out of Solana entirely, so I'm going to actually set up an existing on both long and short. So 829 on June 8 is when we got into this one. So we're going to go June 8, 829. And again, all I'm going to do is change that from close to existing, and this exact one should turn teal if you did it right. There you go. See how the DCA did not change. So now all I have to do is go to my Solana short, close my short, Gambit, Sol short. We're gonna do existing, okay. All right, so Solana will, once it gets in profit, which it's actually almost in profit, like literally right there. So once it gets into profit, this sucker's done, and we'll review that tomorrow and delete it. So let's take a look at the long. The long, I believe we're like pretty stuck. Yeah, our entry is up here. I think we're 2 DCAs in as well. I do want to set an existing on Solana, so I might actually set a third DCA. Let's set a third DCA somewhere in here, like 1750. Let's go a little bit higher, maybe 1775 is where we're gonna do it. Okay, so we're gonna aim for about 1775. I'm doing this one because I didn't do it on the other ones, and I do want to work my way out of this one and set an existing. So I'm gonna set a third DCA. When you click the DCA, you want to see where the line is. So it's up here. See how it put this white line? We want to move that down. So to move that down, you just have to increase the percentage, right? So we'll try 22. We wanted it around here, 1775 somewhere. Okay, that's too much. Let's try 20. You can do the math on it, but I like to just take this. If you guys, if it opens up in your way, just slide it over so you can see the candles, you can see the price. So 1773, so I'm good with that. So if this is where DCA is, right, this is going to be amazing because it's going to move your entry probably somewhere into here, right, which will get it below all this resistance area too. So I'm going to take my Sol Long alert. I'm going to delete that. And we need to find the trade. There it is. So this is the buy that got us stuck. So we're gonna just go ahead and add the existing. So same thing, June 4th, 1836. So June 4th, 1836. Change it from enable to close. Always move this just so you can watch it. Make sure it's the right one that changes so it doesn't screw up everything. Yep, see how it changed on the exact one, so we're good. Now all I have to do, we already deleted the alert, so I just have to go in and create it. And we have ATA, Sol, I always do Gambit, Sol, Long exists. And then we are good on our Sol. And so the, oh, Ambit, right? I deleted the G there. Always make sure too that it loads over here before you close it. So it did open up. So we have a long short existing, a long and short existing on Solana, and a Matic existing. So that will scale us back to basically Aave, ETH, and LTC. And then you should be good. And then tomorrow I might revisit the Aave long as well to scale that back. But I'm not worried about having that one because I know eventually we're gonna get a pretty good bounce up. You know, so I'm not too concerned about the Aave. If you're following me, I know this was a lot, guys. I want to tell you, you know, I've talked about this every day now because for those of you new on TikTok and you're just like, man, this is cool, but it seems like a lot. One, we record all these sessions, so if you're on live on TikTok, don't freak out. You can come in here to BotJock and you can click on community events and you can see literally right here it's being recorded right now. You click on it, it pops up here and you can hit play. And you can do that for free, or you can just go to our YouTube, right, at ATA_trader. The other thing I wanted to continue to reiterate is if you are super busy, but you're like this looks exciting, it's earning money. We are in the process of creating a copy trade program. I'm hoping to have it done by Friday next week or so. It could be sooner, right? But we'll have it probably done, you know, most likely even as soon as this weekend. But we always, you know, have to have that testing period to make sure things are firing as they're supposed to. So we'll probably look to release it maybe hopefully by next Friday. What does that mean? That means when you go in to add your ATA, you know, when you come into this screen here and you go to, you know, ATA trading, when you add your ATA here, you're going to get a pop-up like you normally do of your information, and then it's going to say, there'll be a box that'll say, you know, copy trade, right, enable. When you enable that, it's going to basically, you won't get a webhook or anything. It's going to link your account to the accounts that that I will have on these indicators. So anything mine fires, yours will fire. The beauty of that is you can earn with it by doing that, but then you can still watch these huddles. When we do the copy trade program, we want it to be extremely transparent. We want people to look at it and go, okay, you know, I'm stuck in a Matic, you know, what's going on, right? And you can watch this video and go, oh, okay, I see, you know, Nick has a plan. We've already set up the plan. You know, we're good with it, right? Or you may look at it and go, Nick has a plan. I don't like this plan. I want to stop out. You have full control. You can stop out. You can, if you're one that you're like, man, you know, I only want to run, you know, maybe 2 or 3 pairs, you can set that on your dashboard. You don't have to follow everything that I'm doing. So you'll still have a ton of power on your end. It's just what you want to follow, you'll be able to follow. What you don't want to follow, you don't have to follow. So super excited. Can't wait for that to come out, guys. I'll let you guys know more as we know more. And just stay safe out there trading. You can see, you know, the Bitcoin already started rejecting off of what we talked about. And it looks like the SPY can't even hold it, guys. Just be careful of that double top, guys. It could be a double top turn triple top, but be careful of the double top. The neckline's 426, so if you're trading options, we break below that 426 on open or shortly after, man, that fall is going to be pretty nasty. So, but stay safe out there. Those of you in the community, I know I'm about 5 minutes over. I'm going to go ahead and stop this now. Appreciate your time. TikTok, hang out for questions. I'll be sure to answer them.